like what Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It starts within the premises of our homes. From there, parents send their child to school where formal education takes place. However, I believe that education goes beyond within the four walls of the classroom. A child gets the education from his experiences outside the school as well as those within the basis of these factors. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic called COVID-19, numerous activities were halted including education. It hindered us students to learn without facing certain limitations, compromised us of our future to achieve our dreams, and put us in the dilemma of wanting to learn or choosing to survive. Given the situation we are in, few are blessed for having those resources we need in order for us to continue learning. This is where social responsibility must take place.
Learning about the ins and outs of the corporate world, social responsibility is not something unfamiliar for me. But going in depth, according to Pachama Alliance, social responsibility is an ethical theory in which individuals are accountable for fulfilling their civic duty. The actions of an individual must benefit the whole society. In this way, there must be a balance between economic growth and the welfare of the society and the environment. So going further, when we talk about social responsibility, it is not just a mere act of a solution to what is needed. What comes into play is how it should always be a part of how we behave. It's not just about helping a community when that community faces a flood. Personally, it dives deeper into what I do every day, how I act, and how I put others' welfare as a part of my own. Social responsibility is a daily holistic responsibility that one should possess. I remember the story of Deborah Eisenberg entitled Your Duck is My Duck. It purposely talks about social responsibility, for in that story, it features a couple so wealthy and attractive that they can live the way they felt like living. They're heartless towards each other, ill-tempered with their staff, and alternatingly disdainful and demanding towards the artists they invite to stay with them. They take advantage of environmental disasters wreaking havoc on the country where they own a beach, buying cheap real estate. When things go from bad to worse in part of their actions, they simply fly the coop and continue their lives elsewhere. Now, as we can see in the story, a socially responsible person would absolutely deviate from the actions done by the couple. I think social responsibility gives us this avenue of finding a way to not to be selfish and to be kind towards other people and think about their welfare as we think about our own. Now, I have a question. With COVID-19 coming into play and making things from worst to worst, and us being in isolation, do we still have time to be socially responsible?
Being socially responsible is endless human commitment towards his neighbors and society. Thus, just like the rain, it does not choose the grass on which it falls. Whether in times of isolation or disaster, or whether in times of peace and bliss, we should all still be socially responsible. Since the pandemic, our interaction to the world has become limited and confined. But it does not necessarily mean that our contribution to the betterment of the community shall be halted and restricted too. In our own little ways, we can all make a difference. Why not use this limited social interaction to motivate and inspire others to give importance to the Mother Earth, education, health and well-being, human rights, and social justice? After all, true sense of commitment is tested during times of troubles and instability.
Being socially responsible does not mean that you'll have to risk your life in the pursuit of the betterment of your community. In fact, the concept of bayanihan shines the most in these times of hardship where we are collectively affected. Personally, I was inspired by my Filmation classmate who led the project Make or Donate Face Shields that was able to produce and distribute 3,000 face shields all over Luczon. Since both of my parents are medical frontliners, I taught myself how to make homemade PPEs for my parents and other small clinics in our community. Because of the recent freezing of the economy, a lot of people lost their jobs. Thus, as a family of doctors, we decided to reduce the markup for our services and medicines in order to provide a much more affordable healthcare to the community.
We all have a role to play when it comes to caring for the society we live in today, and this role is essential during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. In times like this, our influence becomes vital. It is important to support advocacies that focus on and prioritize the needs of the most vulnerable members of our society, and we can do this by donating cash, PPEs, food, or other relief items. We must take extra measures in making sure that the information we have and spread is accurate and is from a reliable source to prevent mass panic, and that we have access to food, clean water, proper sanitation, and medicines. It is our responsibility to take care of ourselves and the members of our families in order to look after us all, as flattening the curve takes an overall effort. To ensure the safety of our families, we must follow the protocols implemented by the government, like keeping our distance from others, using protection against the threat of the virus, and doing our best to sanitize our environment.
Philippines is ranked as the country with the highest literacy rate, at around 97.95% based on a report of the United Nations among Southeast Asian countries. While a high literacy rate has reflected the country's improvement from the past years, there's still a staggering number of children in the country who faces literacy challenges. The remaining gap reflected by the number shows that there's more work needed to be done. And as students of the Literacy Training Service of the University of Santo Tomas, our group developed a project plan that addresses and bridges the gap in literacy for children. Our project plan, titled Drop Everything and Read Time, aims to provide accessible and inclusive learning for reading and improvement of literacy of our young children ages 8 to 10. During this dire time, children are confined within the four corners of their home, with nothing else to do. But with the help of their time, they had access to engaging short stories that reflect Philippine culture and teaches good social and moral values for children, wherein they can read and answer assessments at any time convenient for their self-paced learning. Since we have the privilege to access vast information instantly and possess skills that can benefit our community, as responsible citizens of the state, it is our responsibility to give back to society, and Dear Time has successfully accomplished that with the improved literacy of our young Filipino children.
I just want to share with you a quote by Sandra Rodriguez Barron from her novel titled Stay With Me, a Novel. She said that, always remember that with privilege comes responsibility. And I think that it remains true no matter what the situation is. If an individual is privileged enough, he or she should help others who are less fortunate. Social responsibility is a duty to act for the benefit of the society. In these trying times caused by the COVID-19, many have extended their help to those who are in need. And we, the students of the University of Santo Tomas, also shared our knowledge with our primary level students that learning shouldn't stop and this crisis shouldn't be a hindrance for them to learn. We are glad as a group that we were able to help these kids in our own simple way despite the crisis going on. And we are hoping that we have imparted with them the essence of reading and learning, for we believe that quality education is their key to success.